Welcome back, everyone, to the Paul Chandler Show. I'm your host, Paul Chandler. In tonight's discussion, we're going to be talking about drug testing. And whether it be, quote-unquote, the good drugs or, quote-unquote, the bad drugs, there's several different techniques that we have to remember when we're coding drugs as far as to the administration of the test itself and the different drugs that we're testing for. So when we come back in a moment, we'll be talking about drug testing for procedure coding. With drug testing, here we're talking about the good drugs and the not so good drugs. So drug testing does not only include, quote unquote, the bad drugs, but also popular medications as well, for example, pain medications. Now, it's one thing, I've been in medical coding for my 14th year, and it seems like that the American Medical Association, the AMA, who writes the CPT manual, that every few years they like to completely revamp how they do these codes. So we used to call these, as far as the drug testing codes, qualitative and quantitative, but now the new cool hip way to say it is a presumptive drug testing and a definitive drug testing. So now we use the terms presumptive and definitive. So presumptive, that is for the actual administration for the code itself, and we have three different codes that we use. We use 80305, 80306, and 80307. So here, a couple of notations, because the guidelines are quite wordy, and so are the CPT codes. So first of all, the different codes here, it's not how many different drugs we're testing. That gets into the definitive drug testing section, the next section that we're going to discuss. In the presumptive drug class screening section here, it does not matter how many different drugs we do each technique, it just matters which technique is done. So that's what the difference are between these three codes, 80305, 06, and 07. Both 80305 and 80306 are any types of devices that in drug testings that are read by direct optical observation, 80305 and 80306. For example, a patient looks up and the doctor has that's what it is, positive or negative, whatnot, and they put it back down. So the difference with the 80306 is that is using computer-assisted technology. So both are direct optical observation, but again, 80306 is using computer-assisted. So think of it as, kind of put it like in layman's terms, think of it as a thermometer. Now, so I'm not talking about just drug testing for a moment, but it's about the thermometers. I'm born in 1980, so when I was a kid, we had the type of thing glass and a little red line that went back and forth, and generally how it worked back then. Mom or dad, usually mom, put it under your mouth, like, okay, Paul, I'll be back in a minute or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. And then mom leaves the room. Next thing you know, you put it up against the lamp and you wait forever, it seems like, and she's coming back, put it under your mouth. Mom comes back in, like, I'm not feeling well. And then you're like, wow, Paul, you have 109-degree temperature. Why? Because when you're a kid, you're stupid. You don't know how to read the little line going back and forth. That is, for example, an 80305. Where there's no computer in there, it's just, yep, this is what you are, and that's it. But think of an 80306 as a digital thermometer. Both do the exact same thing, but there's a little computer inside that digital thermometer, so you put it under your tongue, whatever, you put up to the lamp, it doesn't do anything. So there's a little computer in there, and it reads on the digital scale. Again, so with these, the presumptive drug class screenings, here we're just coding it on the technique that is used, not how many times that technique is used. So with the non-computer assisted, just the direct optical observation and that's it. Doesn't matter, even if you test for 4 different items, it's still just 80305 one time. Regardless of how many different tests are performed, it's all based on the technique. And so then we have 80307, which that is used not by direct optical observation, but 80307 is either using based on the chemistry analyzers, the chromatography, or mass spectrometry, or you probably heard the term mass spec before. So those are the three main differences between the presumptive drug class screenings. 80305, the drug observational only. Yep, that's what it is. Put it back down. For example, a dipstick, a cup, or a cartridge. Or 80306 is still a drug optical observation only, but little computer analyzing it in there. And then the 80307 through chemistry analyzers, chromatography, or mass spectrometry, all in the techniques. And remembering, it's no matter how many tests are being performed, still only one unit for each day. Then we have the definitive drug testing. And this is for, we're trying to see how much of the drug is actually in the patient themselves during the testing of it. Now, in your CPT book, there are 2 different pages worth of codes, but that's for the class, the group, if you will. So, for example, some of these may be more common than others. For example, if I were to say the term antidepressant, sure, we've heard that before. Alcohols is another one, fentanyl, cannabinoids, and those are just the categories themselves. But in the CPT manual for every year, they always have 2 pages as far as the different tables. So for example, in the 2020 manual here, it's on page 549, where we have, as far as the manual, and it carries on to page 540, we have the codes on the left, the classes in the middle, and then the drugs on the right. So what the coder will do is, again, page 549 and 550, the coder will see in the documentation the names of the drugs that the provider is testing for. And that will be over here on the drugs, the right column, which is the right half of the page itself. So the coder will take the documentation, look for the names of the drugs, then translate that to what class that we're dealing with. And some of these names actually look like names that we've heard of before. Some of these are I call them the RTD2C3PO codes, like from Star Wars, trademarked by Disney, Lucasfilm, not Paul Chandler Show. That with these RTD2C3PO codes, that's what the acronyms. For example, like cannabinoid, synthetic, those are the CP47. That could be Star Wars. AM678, again, a little Star Wars robot. Sure, a lot of those. Those we never heard before, but for example, those are the cannabinoid synthetic, but the cannabinoid's natural. Marijuana's in there. Maybe you've heard that one before. THC is in there. Depending on what state you live in, you may or may not have heard of THC. I'll just say California is a lovely state. So, depending on if you had that experience or not, I love California. Disneyland's there. Yeah. San Francisco is an awesome place to go to, too. So, anyways, so whether you're familiar with those names or not, we take the names of the drugs, match it with a class, and then we do the coding of it. And then some of the codes, it is a one item for each CPT code. Some other items, it's grouped together. So, for example, looking at the coding manual, and let's say, let's talk about synthetic cannabinoids. Why not? We have 3 different CPT codes that we can choose from. 80350, 51, and 52. So there's ranges in there, all depending on with the 3 different CPT codes, how many different synthetic cannabinoids that we're testing for. So you can look at that list. Some of the lists are quote-unquote bad drugs. Some also are medications. For example, fentanyl. Fentanyl, it can be drug testing for because, and if you're not familiar with fentanyl is, quite often patients will get fentanyl as, like, for example, a patch if patients had back surgery or like spinal cord injury and surgery following an injury, some type of injury in the back. It's a very strong pain medication that it's in a patch and it's put usually on the patient's back for recovery purposes. Unfortunately, though, a fentanyl patch is also a high dollar item on the black market. I don't know what the interwebs, whatever they call it. And if a patient is on that type of controlled substance, then oftentimes when they go in for a medication refill, whether it be once a month, every 2 months, however they go in, then the doctor will also then do a blood test to make sure that the fentanyl is in the patient's bloodstream. That helps doctors know that for strong pain medications, that the patient is actually taking the medication him or herself, and not just, oh, my back hurt, doctor, I need some pain medication, and they get the script, and they're giving it to a friend or selling it for money or whatnot. So it's also used to help ensure that the pain medication is actually going to the patient by him or herself. So that's why we also often have pain medications that are helpful to patients in there as well. Okay, so with the drug testing, so we have the presumptive drug class screening and the definitive drug testing, where the 3 codes, the 803, 05, 6, and 7, are for the presumptive drug class screening, where it's only 1 unit of each code per day, no matter how many different drug tests we're doing for each class. But actually, something I did not say, though, is you can use 2 or 3 of those codes. So let's say if the provider is doing the drug testing by 2 different techniques, you could do 2 or 3 of the codes. Or if they're doing drug testing by all 3 of those techniques, then you can have all 3 codes. Just remember though, only 1 unit per day. And then the definitive drug testing, we have the table on the 2 pages where the coder takes on the right of the page the name of the drug, matches over to the class, and then do the codes that we have. Some of the codes is a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 test for 1 code. Other codes, for example, the cannabinoid synthetic, are ranges in there. So you just do 1 code based on the range there. And this is the conclusion of the drug testing. I hope you enjoyed this education, and if you're in California, Disneyland is fun. San Francisco, awesome city. Check out Alcatraz while you're there. A lot of people don't know that, but it's actually worth the tour while you're there. So again, thank you for watching this episode of the Paul Chandler Show, and have an awesome rest of your day. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's so easy. It's right there. A little button. Just push it. Subscribe. I got all night. Nothing else to do. Just subscribe.